Welcome, everybody here. My name is Daniel Fehr-Krahn, and I'm out of Winnipeg, Canada. And we have the material we're going to go through today is a book called the Financial Education Workbook. And on the back, a lot of times, by the way, when I'm inviting someone to a workshop, here's what I do. I show them the workbook, and then I read the back and I say, through the workshops, you're going to learn how to make money work better for you. You're going to find and save more money. You're going to understand your investments, protect and preserve your money, and build a strong financial foundation. And I say, that's what we do. And then I open it up to page 1, and then I open it up to page 51, and I go through some of the stuff with OAS and CPP. And all my invites look like that. And we got about an hour together to go through this material. And we are on our second workshop today, which is really, I think, when it comes to financial literacy, this is the workshop that everybody thinks that it's someone else's responsibility. And recently, like in our office, we're doing workshops in local churches. And so we just set up one every month for next year. And when you talk to some people that run churches, whether they're pastors or priests, sometimes they say, oh, doesn't the bank take care of people's cash flow? Doesn't the insurance company take care of cash flow? Doesn't car companies, when you buy a car, aren't they concerned with your cash flow? Aren't real estate agents concerned with your cash flow when you buy a home? Isn't Starbucks concerned with your cash flow when you buy coffee, making sure you don't overspend? Isn't Costco? Aren't they set up to make sure you don't overspend any money? And somehow, one of the benefits of the free market is the producer is free to produce. But one of the negatives of the free market is the consumer is free to consume. And I want to be free to consume. Don't get me wrong. I want my freedom to consume, but and I want my freedom to produce. But I have to understand that it's my responsibility to consume responsibly and to produce responsibly. And we're going to talk about cash flow today. And this is one of the only workshops that we tend to have a temptation to bring morality into it. What I mean by that is, if we're doing a workshop on life insurance, I say, here's how term life insurance works: whole life, UL, critical illness, XYZ, and with whatever, these are your needs, this one suits your needs, would you like to spend this kind of money? Or when I'm doing investments, I describe the investment. I say, does this seem suitable? When I'm doing a will, I say, if you're an adult, you should do a will. If you're, being an adult in Canada is defined as having a will. Okay, so if you're not, if you don't have a will, that means your finances are set up like you're a child, and your finances are very childish. And maybe we bring some morality into doing a will to try to get people to do it. But it is childish not to have your stuff set up. It's stupid. And can I say stupid in 2022? I'm going to get canceled. Soon it'll be 2023 and 2024, but we're going to go through this book today. And we're going to try to do it without bringing morality into it, where I think when you go into some people, they say debt is bad, but everybody has it. Or people say divorce is bad. 70% of the people are divorced. So how can I do financial planning when I say, how come, I've been married 18 years to the same person, one marriage, continuous marriage. But most people aren't like that. Most people's financial plan is a non-nuclear family. And so we need to not say debt is bad, but we need to say, if you want to get out of debt, here's how we're going to do it. Now, if you don't want to get out of debt, don't do the work. It's too much. But let me jump in. By the way, if you're on Zoom, I'm not going to be sharing my screen. I'm going to be sharing. It'll just be like this. So you'll want to highlight me, or I should highlight me. That's what we should do. This way it'll spotlight me. I see Olivia, and I see everyone else too. Don't worry. I see Jamoki, I see Michael, I see Sumi, I see Keely, Lucy, Jolly, Eden, and everybody else. But let's go through managing cash flow. The message here, by the way, by the end, I'm going to tell you the message. I'm going to say the message is, it is your responsibility to manage your cash flow. It is your responsibility. Now, if you're married, there might be some co-responsibility. You're both 100% responsible. And but it's your responsibility, and we're going to give you some tools to manage your cash flow. We're going to look at what this looks like. We have what's called a 30 by 30 campaign. This is one of the tools we have here, and it's a flyer we use. So if we go to a local organization, we can put their date here and say, this is where we're going to teach, and we can hand them out, get people to show up to workshops. This is what I use to promote this workshop too. And what 30 by 30 means, it has two meanings. One is, as a community, we're going to help 30 million families by 2030. And the second meaning is that I'm going to help 30 families every 30 days. This is a one a day deal. It's not a, when people say part time to me is one a day, and I can go home the rest of the day. It's not one a month, or you talk to one person a year and you hope you get lucky and it's a lottery ticket, And so we want to help. If I'm in the campaign, it is 30 families every 30 days that get an education. And we want to expand. If you like what we do, we'd love to have a one-on-one meeting with a guy that invited you out to see how you can help us with our campaign. But here's what makes our workshops unique. One of the things, change my camera. One of the things that makes our, there we go. One of the things that makes our workshops unique is that we want to run in a very holistic way. And holistic is kind of a term that's kind of, everyone says they're holistic. When I go to RBC, they talk about everything. When I go to TD Bank, they talk about everything. If I go to Sun Life, they talk about everything. But really, I think the way financial services is structured, you're encouraged to niche down and only focus on one area. If you join 20 Facebook groups about financial services and ask for advice to build your practice, as a professional, they're all going to tell me niche down, work on rich people, work on dentists, work on taxes only, estate planning only sell this type of product. And I think we have there's companies that only sell term, companies that only sell funeral planning, companies that only sell XYZ. But the main question to ask in business is, what does the consumer want? Does the consumer want to meet with their tax guy, then meet with their accountant, then meet with their doctor, then meet with their budget guy, then meet with their bank, then meet with the loans officer, then meet with the insurance guy, and none of these guys meet with each other? In fact, all those guys hate to work together because they don't give each other referrals. So I think people want to learn, and you want to be able to control your own money and control your own future. And we don't want to be the answer of like, don't worry, we'll do everything. Our answer is actually, don't worry, you will do everything. It's not you trusting your advisor and I'm a better advisor. It's you can figure this out. So you need an advisor because they're licensed and they have some experience on the technical side, the admin side, basic mistakes. But you got to figure the strategy out for your future. If someone says like, oh, just you do whatever you think is best, that's a nightmare. So we want you to do what you think is best. But one of the things about what is your vision when it comes to finances of where would you like to be in 5 years? Now, in 5 years, you can rebuild everything you want. You can buy a different house. If you don't have kids, you could probably have a couple kids by then and a marriage. Hey, if you're married and you don't do it right, you could be single in 5 years. You could screw that up too. If you have a home, you could be renting in 5 years. But we want you to maybe look at your net worth. If your net worth is negative, maybe you want your net worth to be positive. If your retirement plan is government, if you plan on being addicted to the government when you're old, you need to, in the next 5 years, come up with a plan where you're not addicted to the government. Is that fair? And I don't want to be voting based on who sends me checks when I'm old. I want to be voting based on my values and principles. And then we're going to talk about some planning to achieve these goals. The number one tool you need to plan to achieve your goals is your income. So we're going to learn to protect our income and learn to keep our income and not send all of our income to debt. And so some of your vision is to say, hey, what does the older me look like? And then kind of write that down of, this is what I want to stand for. These are what the principles I would like to have. And very few people design their future, and even less do it well. And so in this workshop, what we're going to talk about is, oh, did I miss one? It is blank. It was blank for no reason. Let me switch out some stuff here. But there's only two ways to increase your cash flow. So when we're looking at what you're going to learn today is there's two ways to increase your cash flow. I think I'm missing a slide, but I'll come back if I don't have it. And one of them is to spend less money, and the other is to earn more money. Now, people don't want to talk about this. They don't want to talk about, hey, spending less money is cool. Getting a deal is cool. People think spending more money is cool. It's so cool. In fact, people do it to me. They say, hey, I bought a, maybe my wife does it. She says, hey, I bought a Starbucks, but it was only $3. It was a $7 drink, but I saved $3. And, we want to tell people the price, but not spending money is not cool. To say I went a week without spending money, I think that's cool. And then earning more money, earning more money looks like this. Someone called me, a guy named Ryan, and said, I think you should take a look at this to earn more money. I know you work in construction and work hard, but you should look at this as a second option. And I'm getting trained by a guy, you should meet him. I said, sure, I'd love to meet him. And that guy started talking to me about me making more money. And I felt very noble that he was trying to talk to me about a problem I had, that I wasn't in control of my earning power. And many times if I talk to someone and I say, Lucy, we should earn some more money together, or Olivia, we should earn some more money together, it kind of sounds dirty. People don't like it. They say, are you trying to recruit me? Are you trying to work with me and partner with me and split deals with me? And you want me to do work? And I think working hard is good. And there's a mentality out there that is not moral. It has a negative morality of earning more and working less. I don't want my son to see a dad who never goes to work but somehow has money. I want to see him work hard, and I like that idea of working hard. I think it's good to work hard, but it's not how much money you make; it's how much money you keep after debt, after taxes, after your lifestyle. After everything, how much money do we have in our bank account? So we're going to learn. I'm going to go back to the book here. We're going to learn 4 things in this workshop. We're going to learn discover $100 or more that you didn't know you had. And then we're going to look at where your money's going. And then we're going to look at 4 ways to do a budget. So do you know if there's 4 ways to do a budget, that means a quarter of the people in the world you will not marry, because you will not marry people that do the same budget as you. That's how God blessed you, that you can fight over money right away. And we're going to talk about 4 ways. One way to do a budget, and one way to save money, is to prioritize it in your personal capital structure first. Which means when you get a paycheck, you take some of that paycheck and you put it away. Now, this is an automated system, or if you get a regular paycheck, you save on a regular basis. And did you know that if you save first, so I say, hey, I got bills to pay. No, I work because I got net worth to build. I'm not working to pay bills. I'm working to save. And then I spend after I save. And you have a path to financial independence. Now, if you earn money and then spend it, and then whatever is left at the end of the month, you attempt to save, you possibly work the rest of your life. Now, we had a discussion last week in our workshop of what is financial independence, and I think the definition of financial independence that I like the best is your thoughts are independent from your finances. Financial independence is your thoughts are independent from your finances. So I can actually think about my values and my principles and what I want to do with my life, not my money. But in order to think above finances, you need to take care of your finances. Just like if you're not healthy, you have to think about your health first. But once you're healthy, I can forget about my health for a week and do other things. And my thoughts are actually independent from my health right now, but they're currently not independent from my money. I need to work hard and get my money in a better position on an ongoing basis. But we're always looking at improving our money. But this is pay yourself first. And so what you do is you make a first payment to your children, your family, your future, and you automate it. You find a program that'll suck money out of your account every time money comes in, and then you don't go into debt and you just forget about it forever. It's just an automated issue. Like most of your expenses are passive expenses. Now, we're used to passive expenses, but not used to passive income. It sounds crazy, but we want to make our saving passive. And then question is, have I saved at least 10% of my money this month? Is that something that I've done or not done? But let's find ways to save money and spend less money. Let's look at this. So the second way to do a budget is to maybe divide what you're spending into 4 different areas. And I don't think, my personal belief is I don't think you should track every area every month. I think it's too difficult. I think we have 4 different ways to spend money. And when we look at those 4 different ways, one of them is our shelter, then our transportation, then our food, and our leisure. I think every expense outside the financial foundation can go into these 4: shelter, transportation, food, and leisure. So I put Netflix into my shelter, my heat and hydro bill into my shelter. I want to know, what does it cost me to go home every day and have a house? What does it cost me to have my cars, my fuel, my upkeep, my maintenance, my car loan, my oil, all that stuff? What does it cost me to eat food? Am I eating out every day? Am I eating at Costco every day? What am I spending on food? And then what am I spending on leisure? Now, leisure is a funny one. Some people overspend on leisure, but that's not usually why people get poor. People get poor because they overspend on their house, their car, or their food. They're eating out so much instead of maybe going to the park and having fun and building relationships. Usually leisure leads to relationships, but the other 3 don't. And so when you look at these 3, I think you can look at your spending and look at this the book, and you can start tracking on any kind of piece of paper one of those 4 categories. What do I spend in fuel in a month? What do I spend in leisure in a month? What do I spend in my house? What does my house actually cost me? Well, what do I spend in my dining out and my shopping? And I've met a lot of people that had 0 money, but I've never met someone who had 0 food in the fridge. Very rarely you open the fridge and there's no food, but you open their bank account, there's no money. And so we want to make sure we're tracking this stuff, right? And what I would suggest, the second way to budget is to pick an area with your family and say, what do we spend on leisure? About if you spend 0 on leisure, I recommend spending money on leisure. If you spend, if you're taking the bus to work and you could go buy a car and drive to work quicker and work 2 hours overtime instead of taking the bus, overtime will probably pay for the car, and you're out of the house same hours. So I'm not saying don't spend money. I'm saying track your money so you know where you're spending. Paying is more convenient than ever, but don't lose control of how much you spend. So if I use a credit card, I like to check my credit card balance every day. I have like 6 or 7 credit cards, and that I actually track on my phone. And I check my email, then I check my cards to say, hey, did this payment go through? Did that payment go through? I want to have the ability to track more than one account at the same time. Now, not just my net worth, but I want to track like, oh, my wife spent money. Oh, I spend money. Oh, this dinner cost this. Oh, most people can't even look at their bank account every day. And so if I'm going to be an adult, I got to do adult things like check my bank account. And on my phone, I have them all on a folder. I just check CIBC, CIBC credit card, CIBC line of credit, TD, Amex, Scotiabank, Tangerine. And I like the idea of getting points, but I don't like the idea of holding a balance month over month. And so I want to be able to track that. The second or third way to maybe look at a budget is to reevaluate where your money is going and check your progress. Maybe you can find new places to save money. Look at automatic payments. If it's an automatic waste, then it's not good. So we're going to look at some of this stuff and we're going to say, hey, A third way to budget is just to look at what you have in your house and what you're paying for and say, do I like that? Does this provide happiness? Does it provide peace of mind, security, or whatever you're trying to buy with your money? What emotion are you getting from your spending? So here's the number. If you have a workbook, we're on page 19, and we're going to add this up to figure out what you can save. But if you get a tax refund, what a tax refund is you get a paycheck from an employer, and instead of you monitoring your deductions, you let some other man do it, or some other woman, someone else, track, and they pay your taxes for you. And so I don't want to let someone else pay my tax. I want to look at, hey, what's getting taken off? And if they take off too much, CRA refunds it to me at the end of the year. But they don't give me interest, nor do they give me control for the first 12 months. So instead of, let's say I get a $2,400 refund or a $2,600 refund, and I get 26 checks a year, I would rather have $100 every check more to live my life, save money, than to get $2,400 up front. I would rather get that. So you should take your tax refund, divide it by 12, and that's how much money you should be getting every month this year, not next year following forward. You can talk to your HR and you can say, I want to change my remittance. But if you get $2,600, you should get an extra $100 a check or $200 a month. Keep a warmer or cooler house. In the winter, in Winnipeg, it costs a lot of money to heat a house. I have an electronic thermostat. It hooks up to my wife's phone so she can check the temperature, lower it, increase it. And when we leave the house, temperature goes down, right? So you can do it all automated. Did you know that Netflix is like 23 bucks a month? It used to be like $6 a month. I checked it recently. I checked my Amex card and I said, oh my goodness. This is I told my wife we have Minnow for our kids. It's like kid shows, Minnow, MINNO, great program. And we have Daily Wire, and we're gonna get Canon Plus. So we're gonna Amex gives you free Disney for a year. So why would I have Netflix? But I haven't canceled yet, but I will cancel it as soon as I get around to it. But how much are you paying for cable? How much are you paying for someone to feed garbage into your home? You know, I don't know if cable's that good anymore. Use coupons. I like the idea of a deal. I went out for dinner last night with my team and we got a half off deal. I like that idea. I like the idea of paying less money for things. Do you make coffee or do you know, my rule is this. I only spend money on things if it builds a relationship. So I have no problem going to Starbucks and buying a drink if I buy 2 drinks. But if I'm just thirsty, why would I pay $7 to just be thirsty? You know, same thing with I don't smoke, but I think if you do smoke, you should build a relationship around smoking. I don't even know if that makes sense. Or alcohol. How many drinks is reasonable? Probably 95% of the population is not reasonable with alcohol. And alcohol steals your money, it steals your morning, you know, and maybe you got to reduce that to save some money. But we look at how much money could I save? Eat out early. Me and my wife do like to go out for dinner, but we like to go out for lunch too, because lunch, kids aren't cranky yet. You know, everyone's happy. It's quicker. There's no drinking. It's actually a lot cheaper to go for lunch. Or if you go to work all the time, maybe pack your own lunch. Maybe that's what it looks better to just bring your lunch. I see people spend a lot of money on lunch. I work in a building, an office building, where there's people that work in my building. They make 20% of what I make or 30% of what I make. They buy lunch every day. And I always wonder, how could they make so little and spend so much? But average car payment in Canada is between like $700 and $900 a month. That's $700 or $900 a month. When you look at paying off a car, I think you should have a vision of saving up 10 or 20 grand to buy a car. I bought a lot of cars for under 10 grand. My recent one, my 2 I like the most right now, I have a Ford Flex I bought for 10 grand, and I have a Subaru. And they're both used, both paid for in cash on an Interac card. And when I went to the dealer, but I don't want to buy a new car unless I'm in a position where I have a lot of money. But I see people pay $800 a month, and they're nervous about saving $100 a month. They have a car, and I see this, and I think, okay, consider buying a used car and getting your payment to zero so you could save that money. Maybe reevaluate your insurances. Look at carpooling if you're traveling quite a bit. Look at your cell phone. My cell phone bill is like 55 bucks, and my wife has a phone. And we evaluate, hey, when it's time to renew our phone, what are we doing? And how are we getting this thing going? One second, my camera said it's a low battery. Let me plug this thing in. There we go. You can still see me. There we go. We're back. If you own a cell phone, why keep a landline? How many phones do you need if you have kids? Sometimes people spend a lot of money on phones. Some people spend money on video games. Um, I read a study last night that there's about 300 million video games sold a year. That's one per person. You you know, I see this stuff. You can play a lot of stuff for free. So people are spending money on this thing. Online subscriptions where you have an automatic expense, or magazines or online magazines that auto renew, checking your credit cards. I had a guy recently call me, client. He was going to cancel a policy, and he was going to call the company and do it. Just a little one. And then he called me a year later and he says, "Oh, I forgot to cancel it. Is there any way I can go back?" No. He says, "Well, I didn't check my bank account for a year." And I said, "A year? I'm telling you, check it every day. How do you do, you know, how do you, I check my fridge every day. I check you should check your bank account is my new rule. I just made it up. You should check your bank account more than your fridge, and you should check your bank account more than social media. If you're on Instagram more than your bank account, you're focused on the wrong things, unless you have a lot of money to waste and a lot of time to waste. Cancel gym memberships you don't use. I went to Planet Fitness. I went there. Guys told me I should go. I went there. It was like 15 bucks a month. You get the massage chairs, 25 bucks a month. I go there for a couple of months and I quit and I cancel my stuff. And I got kids, so I can maybe exercise with kids and run around with them. And but if you have if money is not working for you, you need to go on like a fast of spending money. Look at policies that are not protecting you; they're just wasting money. Cut down shopping. At Christmas time, you should put a budget together for Christmas, and you should decide, here are the people we're buying gifts for. These are the gifts we're going to buy. This is what it's going to cost as my estimate. Maybe we can go find deals. And credit line and auto supplies. If you have a bunch of loans, maybe you can put it on a line of credit and get those costs lower. If you got cleaning, repair, do your own chores. If money's tight. Now, if you have extra money, I'm all for buying your time back. But a lot of people don't actually buy their time back. They actually buy time to waste time. So that if I'm at work and someone's cleaning my house, that's a good deal. But if I'm at home doing nothing and someone's cleaning my house, then I should clean my house. Unless I'm doing something productive with my time. And we look at business tax deductions. Here's a funny one. If you were overpaying in taxes, when would you want to know about that? And a lot of people look at business tax deductions and they got this moral thing that entrepreneurs pay less tax than employees as a percentage wise if this income's the same. And they think it's bad. They think Donald Trump has tax deductions because he owns real estate and businesses, but I don't. But the truth is, the tax code doesn't discriminate. If you own a business, you can deduct things from your income and save taxes. And it's really an issue of someone who is a legitimate entrepreneur or a business owner and an employee who can't write anything off. So we want to study the tax code and know what we can write off. I think it's patriotic to pay no more tax than I should. That money should go back into the economy, into savings to protect my family or to my church. Maybe avoid ATM fees. If you check your bank account, you don't need to pay these fees because you know how much money is in the account. You know, hey, I gotta transfer some money or go make some money or get paid early or not spend money if I'm out of money. But before I started in this industry, I wouldn't know my bank balance. I wouldn't want to know. I would rather gamble and go to the grocery store and swipe my card, say my prayers, and it goes through, and I say, that's why I don't need to know my bank balance. And just somehow to feel rich, to act stupid and feel rich because you don't know your bank. Oh, I have enough money. I have more than enough. Don't worry. God is good. But I see people don't check their bank account or be creative when you're looking at gifts. I remember I got a gift for Christmas probably about 10 years ago. The guy gave me two jars. One was like liquids, and one was powder for pancakes. He made like pancake stuff, shook it up, and then made the liquid. And he said, just mix this and cook the pancakes. And then he did the same thing with cookies and the same thing with muffins. So I had like a bunch of things to cook. And so me and my wife took a day and we made all this stuff and had a lot of fun. And I actually have no. I remember who gave me that gift, but I have no idea what else I got for that year for Christmas. And that didn't cost the guy nothing, but except time and putting work in and getting some jars. But people, none of your friends and none of your family, other than your kids, want you to overspend. You need to teach your kids that overspending is stupid. I can say stupid, right? Overspending is stupid, whether you're an individual or a government. And so when you look at wants versus needs, did you know that everything is a want? I don't need to pay my mortgage. I could move in with a friend. I can articulate well enough. I could say a sad story and say, please let me move into your basement for a few months. And then I could just do that to enough friends and couch hop. But same thing with food. I don't need to go out for dinner. I could eat rice. Rice is almost free. So let's look at if you build a habit of saving first and then spend what's left. The cost of $6 a day or $200 a month. If you put that away and you earn a 10% annually, you're looking at 40 grand in 10 years, 140 in 20 years, and 400 in 30 years. Now, in Canada, you start working when you're about 15 years old, and you make more than $6 a day when you're 15. But 15-year-olds don't save $6 a day because when they're 25, 25-year-olds don't have 40 grand. 35-year-olds don't have 140 grand. And 45-year-olds don't have 400 grand. If I'm mistaken, and you've been working for 10, 20, or 30 years and you have more than this is just a $200 a month life-changing amount that most of us are going to live for another 30 years. I know that because you logged on to Zoom. So if you log on to Zoom, that means you probably got 30 years left and or more because you're under 70. And most of us don't have 400 grand saved, but we do have 200 bucks. We do have 200 bucks, but don't have 400 grand. And so if you add time to the 200, it could equal 400 grand. And so when you look at questions like assets, liabilities, net worth, an asset is something you own, a liability is a debt, and net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. So the rich buy assets, businesses, and investments. The middle class buy liabilities they think are assets, and they're proud of it. We even got the emotion wrong. Is a new luxury car, a high-end purse or tech toy an asset or a liability? And the emotion of thinking, I don't want to see people waste their money, but people do. But I don't want to create a culture where wasting money is cool. Or a new home. In Canada, here's what you do. You buy a home when you're young, you pay it off, and then when you have a good job, you buy another home and you upgrade your home. And then you finally get it paid off and then you upgrade again and you keep upgrading. And then you say, hey, when I get old, I'll downgrade. But I never seen someone downgrade. What I do is they go from a really big average home to a really nice small condo for the same money. So they go from a $500,000 big home that's never renovated to a beautiful new condo for the same price. They're not downsizing their lifestyle, they're just downsizing their square footage. So, by the way, downsizing lifestyle is like beating an addiction. You know, it, having a good lifestyle is very addictive. It's very hard to remove luxury once you've had it. Luxury, once enjoyed, becomes a necessity. So let's look at getting out of debt. Here's the fourth way to budget. Instead of looking back, you can look at, hey, let's list all my assets, all my liabilities. Then I want to cash flow. I want to calculate what is my income? What do I have saved? What am I adding to that? What do I owe? What am I adding to that? What are my expenses? What am I adding to that? And what is my cash flow? And when I look at my cash flow, you look at all the different areas, and we can go through like a spreadsheet model. You just look at everything and you say, is this true? If it says you cash flow $700 at the end of the month, where's the $700 go? And your cash flow should be close to zero. So if your cash flow is four figures, $1,000 or more, you should probably add more to your debt payments, add more to your savings, or add more to your lifestyle. So I prefer, maybe my point of life, adding more to my savings. But some people at different points in life. And so when you look at different habits, if you cross your hands wrong, it's very difficult to do. If you're at home, I can see you cross your hands wrong. And one second, I got a text, but I gotta looking at the wrong Zoom. The I'll answer the question right away, Olivia. When I look at when I cross my arms, the habit of doing it this way is always the same. And when I look at how you shave or put lipstick on or do different things or button up your shirt, most of the things we do the same, always the same. And so we want to look at what are our actual habits, right? And Olivia asked, under this model, what's the difference between a liability and an expense? And a liability is something you buy. I think that that is, or something you owe money to. So if I have like a credit card of $10,000, I owe 10 grand. And the expense on that would be the payment on that money. So it'd be like 200 bucks a month or whatever it is. But I want to classify, I'm not sure if that answers your question, or I need a more detailed question. But I want to think, there's nothing wrong with liability as long as you want them. There's nothing wrong with a mortgage as long as you want a mortgage. If you're paying rent and you need a mortgage for 10 or 20 or 30 years, go get one. If you don't have a car and you don't have any money, but you want a car, get a car loan. As long as you want it. But don't think that someone else talked you into it. That's a nightmare. You know, the giving control someone else of your finances. So everything that doesn't go into your house, your shelter, your transportation, your food, or your leisure would end up in what's called your financial foundation, where we think that when you have extra money, if you're in business, if you're a businessman, the first thing you should do is secure your family. Separate your family from your income, separate your family from your ability to work, separate your family from your net worth to say, if I don't have the net worth, I go rent it. I need to get my family secure. Second thing I do is I secure my past. All the decisions I made in the past, I want to get paid those off. So I don't want to plan the future and be paying the past. Then I want to secure my bills. I need about 3 to 6 months cash saved to pay my bills so the bills can be automated. So I don't have to think about them. And then I want to secure my future. And so we don't have a net worth to build a financial foundation, but we have a financial foundation base to invest. I think you should have your emergency fund in building and your debt under control and some protection in place for, playing defense first before playing offense. And then you can be very aggressive on the offense. There's many forms of debt. There's a weird question of what's good debt, what's bad debt. Good debt is the debt you choose. Bad debt is the debt you don't want. And so sometimes you say, I want a mortgage, but then interest rates go to 7. Now I don't want a mortgage. Now I'm talking to my wife about paying it off. But 3 years ago, I never thought about paying it off. I thought about no big deal. And credit card debt is something it can grow if you don't keep a budget. So let's look at this. By the way, if I'm prospecting people and talking to the public we have like a workshop system, which is like a public service. And then I got a private practice, which is sitting down with clients and helping them change. I don't typically talk about insurance or investments first. I talk about debt. Yeah, I help people get out of debt. And they're very open to talking to me. I like that about it. I can just talk to people and I know that people are carrying lots of debt. Average balance month after month is 3,000. and the average debt someone has is about $20,000. And so if you're in your workbook, these are some of the blanks. I don't want to work to pay the bank. I want to work to pay my own family. So if you owe 5 grand and you have a $200 payment, um, 78 goes to interest and 122 goes to paying off the debt. It's going to take you over 10 years to pay that debt off. If you save the difference, instead of owing 5 grand, you save 5 grand. And then instead of paying 78 to interest, you paid 78 to your own account. And you let that grow for 30 years, you get 150 grand. It's not where you are today, it's actually your trajectory. Am I cutting my expenses so I can have a good trajectory in the future? Or the poor get poor? You know, a lot of poor people say they can't get poor. They're already poor, the poorest. Uh, Almost everybody in Canada could be poorer. You know, you could be in more debt. A lot of people think I already owe debt. I can't borrow any more money. Well, if you owe the bank money, they just go make you go bankrupt. But if you owe CRA money, they put you in prison. And so, you know, you can go from owing one guy to owing someone else. We're going to make a plan to become debt free. We're going to learn about debt. We're going to study everything from, you know, one of the things that impacted me, I found out early on that if I bought something on a credit card and I have, let's say, I had 3 credit cards with a balance and 3 without a balance. If I had one without a balance and I bought something, I had about 45 days to pay that off, to not pay interest. And I could look at my statement dates. And if I bought something after a statement date, I had 45 days. But if I bought something like a week before my statement date, I had like 7 days. So I started looking, oh, if my statement date is the 1st, then I'm going to use Amex. But if my statement date on my Tangerine is the 15th, and it's like the 18th of the month, then I'll use my Tangerine. Because then I can extend when I'm paying my stuff back. And I want to study this stuff to be diligent about managing my own money. So there's different ways to get out of debt. You can go and you can reconsolidate and negotiate down, called a consumer proposal. You can go to a consumer proposal company, or you can go direct to a public trustee. Nobody can propose on your debt in Canada except a public trustee. And there's lots of public trustees out there that'll help you do a consumer proposal or help you go bankrupt if you have too much debt. But here's another way. We'll show you the example. Here is the situation we're looking at. This is a situation where you got a bank balance of all these debts, and then I got interest rate on the debts and my monthly minimum payment. So I sort them from highest to lowest. And then I say, we're going to take this one here and we're going to pay $100 more per month on that debt. And then instead of being in debt for 19 months, I'm going to be in debt. My new payoff balance is like 2 months. Then I'm going to go to the next one. I'm going to take that 110 that I freed up, the 100 original, plus the 10 from that minimum payment, and I'm going to add that to my home improvement one. And I'll pay that off in 6 months. Then I roll up the 135, add that to the 50, pay it off in a year. Now I'm paying 185 on my Visa. So instead of 42 months, I save 2 years on that one. Now I take 235, add it to MasterCard, save 2 years, pay off my auto loan, pay off my bank loan, and I keep rolling $1,000 a month on my mortgage. And I'm out of debt in not 30 years, but I'm out of debt in 17 years. When I started this business, and if you start any business, people say, Daniel, that's not good for the consumer. Daniel, that's a scam. Daniel, I read online it's not good for people. What I would do is I would show them this. I'd say, well, this is what I'm actually doing. Here's mine. We have a calculator on worldsystembuilder.com. Here's my debt. I was putting like $500 a month, $1,000 a month whenever I made extra money on my debt, got out of debt. I paid about 45 grand off in about 8 months when I first started here, made extra money and used that to pay off debt, bought a house. And I showed them this. And I'd say, what's the scam about paying off debt? Well, the real truth is getting wealthy. Poor people don't like wealthy people. So when I started on a path to become wealthier, poor people, you know, were hating on me. I thought, what's wrong with them? But nobody above you hates on you. Only people below you that they said, no, I'm never going to do this. And they, you know, so I found out real quick, people that were above me encouraged me. People that were below me said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about your debt. You can never pay off your debt. And eventually I did pay off my debt. I paid off my debt a few times. I'm good at it. But here's what it looks like. Full 100 grand. You put an extra $100 away, you're out of debt in 17 years, including the mortgage, 15 years, including the mortgage, or you put $1,000 on your debt, you're out of debt in 11 years, including your mortgage. No matter what, you got to pay off your debt. Why not do it in 1 decade instead of 4 decades or never, right? When you look at the peace of mind, and you can look at this, scan this thing, and you can look at a calculator, putting your numbers, and you can start paying it off. You can just search debt roll-up calculator. There's lots of good ones online. Financial Mentor has one. Undebt.it, another great one. You can do integrated stuff. But when you look at when you pay off a line of credit, when you pay off a credit card, we recommend that you don't close the account, because having paid off debt is good for your credit score. Having canceled debt doesn't report. And a good credit score is very good. Now, being debt free is actually even better than being a good credit score. So if someone says, I'm really worried about my credit score, but I have a bunch of debt, you should work hard, make more money, pay off your debt. Once you're out of debt, work on your credit score, getting the right types of debt, all that kind of weird stuff. But if you have debt, get in control of your debt. And you want to look at your long-term habits and try to get in control of stuff. But anybody can save money. I've met people that make 25, 30 grand a year. I got a client of mine, he's got a 400,000 saved. He works at Walmart, makes a Walmart income, just stocking shelves. He saves like 30% of his income. He's been doing it since he's young, and he's got lots of money saved. Never spends any money, and I'm not that tight. I make a good income and I save a good income and I spend a good income too. And I've had people have a lot of money and they spend it all. And so the actual income doesn't correlate to your ability to save. If you're debt free, you need to save about half as much for retirement than if you have debt, because mortgage payments are after tax payments. They're not deductible in Canada. So if my mortgage payment is 2 grand, I need to earn 3,500 to after tax to pay 2 grand. But if I don't have a mortgage payment, I need a lot less money in retirement. But if you're totally debt free, and my definition of financial independence when I started and financial freedom was when I put money in my bank account. If I did nothing for that month, my bank account would not go down. I grew up in a world where I got a job, put money in my bank account. 3 days later, I had no money in my bank account. Then I make a job, put my money in my bank account. 5 days later, I had no money. Get a job, put money in the bank account. 10 days later, I have no money. And so it was like, I thought, what if I could just put 5 grand in my bank account and have it be there in a month? And I don't want to work for my employer where I don't mind being on commission if I know how to get a result. And so I had to learn how to get a result so I could quit my job. But you can't quit your job unless you have another one to go to. I think work is very healthy. I don't want to work just to pay taxes. I don't want to work just to pay debt. I don't mind working to pay myself, pay my family, and secure my family. But I want my family to benefit from my hard work. Nor do I want to have a job where I work 200 hours a week or 160 all the time, never ending, where I like the idea of chasing success, but I don't want to have the expense of my kids don't know me, where, the only people that remember you work late are your children because they didn't meet you. And so I think I like our industry. I could take my kids to work and go do some fun stuff. I got a 1-year-old, me and her are going to go on some appointments this evening. And I like that idea of hanging out together, but I don't want to just work and not be around my family either, or traveling all the time for work. There are many opportunities in 2023. You can ask for a raise. If you're asking for a raise, instead of asking for what you want, you should ask for what they want. So if you say, can I have more money? I asked for that when I worked in construction, and they said, you want a promotion? I said, yes. They said, okay, we'll call you foreman. No, no, no. I don't want a name change from laborer to foreman. I said, I want more money. And they said, well, you're already a foreman. They said, you want us to put foreman on your paycheck? No, I don't want foreman on my paycheck. I want a bigger paycheck. And so I didn't know how to ask for a raise. But what I should have done, and what you should do, you should say, I think I can handle my current responsibility, and I would like more responsibility. And I'm wondering what, and then you ask your employer, what is your vision for me over the next 5 years? I'm just wondering what's possible over the next 5 years that I could commit to, that I could have some more responsibility. He'll say, oh, you could be manager, you could do this, and he'll sell the promotion to you. Then you go do what he asks. And you should serve your biggest client, which is your employer, and make yourself more valuable. Other employers will notice and your market value will go up. You could work overtime. If you have money problems, usually it's because your schedule is empty. You could work a part-time job, start a part-time business. I can't say enough good things about our business. We don't talk to enough people about it, but it's been a real blessing for me and many other people. But will you shrink your dream to fit your income or increase your dream, increase your income? By the way, our business isn't perfect. Our business is an emotional business. You got to be emotionally tough. You got to care for the consumer. There's a bunch of heartache in it and all that kind of stuff, like any business. And it's not for everybody, but I'm very blessed it was for me. And here's a summary. You can find ways to save more money. Nobody is tapped out when it comes to saving. But when you do a budget, you can only budget once or twice really good and you're budgeted. But you can increase your income multiple times. So once you've got the budget under control, lock your lifestyle in somewhere it's acceptable. I'm not saying never go for dinner. I'm not saying never drive a nice car, fix your car. I'm saying get your lifestyle where you say we could live a good life here and then start increasing your income, but not your lifestyle. And keep your lifestyle maybe 3 to 5 years behind your income. So I want to live on the income I earned in 2019, but earn money like it's 2024. And so would having no payments be less stressful? You put money in your bank, 30 days later, it's still there. That's the dream. That was the dream for me. That's what they sold me for me when I got started in this industry. And I remember when I had no debt payments, how much simpler life was. The if you can use your income for building financial freedom, how much better would life look like? Here's where you got to twist your emotion. And people think, well, Starbucks feels so good when I buy Starbucks. I nothing against Starbucks, by the way. I like Starbucks. As when coffee comes, they're the best. But when you spend money, you get an emotional payoff. But when you save money, you also get an emotional payoff. You need to create your emotional payoff when you save to be a bigger payoff than when you spend. Because you need to control your emotions. That if you can't control your emotions, someone else will control your money. And I don't want to live in a world where I'm depending on other people to have my best interest when I know they don't. But you got to control your feelings. What does it feel like to have the vision you want and get the life you want? But when you control your money, you can control your thoughts. But the back ones is you have to control your thoughts to get in control of your money. I don't know which one comes first. Maybe that's where you enter a life of faith or something. But at the end of the day, human beings in 2023 have a lot of control over their money, especially in North America. And we have a financial literacy campaign. And the way it works is we want people to invite people to our workshops. And the way you invite someone is a little bit excitement, not crazy excitement. It kind of builds skepticism in me. But you say, hey, I'm in a workshop that talked about cash flow, getting out of debt, and I'd like to invite you. And that's it. You don't have to tell a long story. And then if you invite 2 or 3 people, someone says, yeah, I'd like to go. Or if they say they don't want to go, don't twist it on them. Say, why don't you want to go? Just say, oh, thank you. Would you mind if I invite you in the future? They say, yeah, I would. I just don't want to go over Christmas. And just accept it. And then invite someone else. Hey, I'm going to a workshop on Friday. You want to go? That's about finance. And people will come. But that's all it is to invite someone. It's just an invite. It's nothing crazy. And then lastly here, we got work with a professional. We want you to manage your own money, but we also want you to have a professional, just like in healthcare. You should manage your own healthcare, but you should have a doctor that can prescribe the right drugs to you once you understand. Same thing here. You should have a professional that can give you the right policies, the right investments, the right advice, get your finances in order. And I think life is better when your finances in order. I think there's a someone told me, I heard someone talking to me, so they didn't tell me, but they were saying, hey, money doesn't buy everything. What about this about money? And bring religion into it, and they twist all this stuff about maybe being poor is better than being not poor. And I thought, maybe I'm not working hard to buy happiness. Maybe I'm working hard to provide security for my family. Money buys security. Maybe I'm working hard for peace of mind. Maybe I'm working hard so I can have time with my kids. Maybe I'm, maybe I'll be sad my whole life, but it'll be a meaningful life. Like a lot of people with a great career. But I think being responsible is better than being irresponsible. That's my thought. But my name is Daniel Fehr-Krahn, and I want to thank you guys for coming out and spending an hour with me. Um, I have a website, actually a Google site, and I'm wondering if you could take a minute and send me a review. I just sent my message on the chat. If you click that, you go down a little bit, send me a review. We were working with different churches, working with different local organizations. We're going to do a campaign over Christmas to go into high schools and we just show them the reviews. Hey, listen, I have hundreds of reviews, whether it's my WFG site and then I can show and I can say they're current. They're not from 10 years ago, and that helps me out a lot, and it helps the community out, and I think it helps citizens of Canada. So I want to thank you guys for your time, and I appreciate you guys coming out and allowing us to communicate.